My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love.
Hello everyone, I am the Great Curator and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're visiting, thank you. I appreciate you guys stopping by. The purpose of these videos that I'm making here are strictly just for educational purposes. It's my creative way of kind of like ranting about topics in the hobby and kind of sharing my experience and sharing information with people out there. Hopefully you guys find it useful and helpful, and it's basically just my way of kind of giving back to the community and helping grow the hobby. So if you do find it helpful, please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this. That kind of feedback and encouragement helps me and motivates me to continue to put out this type of content, to continue to put out these videos. I promise that as I start to put more videos out there, that I will dedicate more of my time and resources in improving the quality of the videos, improving the quality of the content, and hopefully that will help you guys find value in this, and you guys can benefit from that, okay? So with that, topic of discussion today is understanding eBay comps. This is going to be a continuation of the series of videos that I'm putting out there, what I like to call Sports Card Investing 101. So today's topic is very controversial. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of positive and negative comments about this, but this is my take on how to understand eBay comps, okay? Which is very key if you're getting into this hobby, especially in the beginning. You have to understand how to interpret eBay comps and how to use them when you're transacting for cards, okay? So with that, let me just start off by saying, let me explain to you what a comp is in case you're not familiar, okay? A comp is short for like a sales comparable, and it's used to help determine the value of an item when there's not a fixed price. So when you go to like Target, for example, and you're gonna buy a bag of chips or a soda, there's a fixed price on that, okay? Determined by the manufacturer, right? So in the cards context, right? Like when Panini puts out a box of cards, they determine a fixed price for those for that box of cards. And if you go into a mass retailer, then that's what it is. But when you go to the secondary market, which is where almost all the cards transact in this hobby, then the price can be changed by the seller. Whoever has it, they can mark it up, mark it down, whatever, right? So you would want to use a sales comparable to determine what would be considered a fair price, okay? This is mostly used when, if you ever own real estate or if you're ever buying a house or anything like that, you'll hear the real estate agents talk about sales comparables. And what they'll do is they'll say, okay, this house right next to yours sold for this much on this date. So when we list your house for sale, we're going to sell it, we're going to price it around that last sale price, usually higher, okay? That's what they mean by sales comparable. You take a closed transaction, a sale that already happened, you compare it to the new transaction that you're trying to do and see if it's in that range, okay? So with eBay, eBay is, it's a platform where cards transact. Probably the most cards in the world transact on eBay, and eBay is a really good source for that data, that piece of data, where they track all the previous sales, and any user can go on their app and pull up the past previous sales data to see like what a card sold for. So for example, I have this Michael Jordan rookie here, okay, at grade 7. So you could go on eBay right now and you can see what all the last transactions are for the last 3 months to determine how many of these Jordans sold and what price points they sold. And people use that as the data point to determine what is the fair market value of this card. So let's just say, for example, this Jordan sold last week for, X amount of dollars, okay? And I see this same card, same grade at a show and I want to buy it, but I don't know what the fair value is. I would look back to that last sale and I see, okay, it sold for, let's just say it sold for $6,000 last week. Then I know that I want to pay around that $6,000 range, okay? That's the fair market value of a card like this. So that's how people primarily use eBay comps, okay? They use it because if they're not if they don't know the value of a card, they use it as a data point, but they also use it because it's convenient, super easy. Anybody can use it. It's free to the public. You just pull up the app on your phone, and within a matter of seconds, you can get all this information that will help you determine what the fair market value of a card is. Okay, that is the benefit of eBay. That is why everybody uses it. Okay. However, the problem is, and the reason I wanted to make this video is that people don't understand really how to use the eBay comps. I think there's a wide misunderstanding, misuse of that data points that is causing a lot of friction in the hobby today. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. And mainly, the biggest problem that I see with people using eBay comps is they're using it as the end-all, be-all value of a card. Going back to this Jordan, for example, if this Jordan sold for $6,000 last month, okay, last week or whatever, they're going to say this card is worth no more than $6,000. Okay, you hear those people all the time. They talk about like, I'll never pay over eBay comps, right? But there's a lot of flawed thinking in that way, which I will kind of go into detail and explain. But if you think that eBay is the final be-all, end-all value for cards, you're wrong. You're only looking at a small little piece of the data pie, okay, of what eBay can tell you. All right. So that is the biggest misconception of that, is that people see eBay as the end-all, be-all number, and that they see it as like the fixed price of a card, where they don't understand that cards are transacted on the secondary market, so they can be any price. Whatever the seller puts it at, that's what they're asking for. Okay, they're not obligated to follow what eBay does, right? And the reason of that is, I'll go into the problems that I find with eBay, using eBay comps right now. One of the biggest problems that I find with eBay comps and eBay auctions is that the auctions can be manipulated. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about this, but it's obvious. Everybody knows about this, but nobody talks about it. These auctions can be manipulated. And what do I mean by that? These auctions can be shield bid. There's no regulations really. So like anybody can jump onto an auction and bid it up, and make one comp super high than the next comp, you know? One comp can be at $6,000 for this Jordan, and then the next one could be at $10,000. Does that make any sense that it went from 6,000 one week and then a couple days later it goes to like 10,000? It doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't appreciate like that. Okay, that is due to auction manipulations. So people have to understand that. People can bid up auctions. People can make fake auctions. Okay, that happens too. They'll make a fake auction, like a buy it now. They'll have their buddy bid on it. They'll never collect it, but they'll use that as a comp. People can cancel auctions if they don't like the price. If the comp is too low, they'll cancel it and they'll relist it. So there's a lot of like funny business that goes into these auctions. So that's why you can't take the data point as like the end all be all number, because you have to factor in the fact that it could be manipulated. Okay, so that's one drawback of using eBay comps. Second drawback is that the auctions are not structured or organized in any particular way, which creates a level of variations in the end products. Okay, so I'll give you an example. A traditional auction that you would have, like if you go to an auction house and you're sitting there and you're bidding, with your thing, it's a fixed time, it's advertised, all the people show up in one place and they bid. So if you have all the people showing up at one place, bidding on one item at the same time, then you get a fair level of competition, which will determine the market value of that item. Golden Auction does this. Golden Auction has a very set schedule. Their auctions end a set time unless it's changed for whatever reason, and that's how it is, right? So you know that if you want to bid on an item, you go there and you bid on it, and that's what it is. With eBay, there's no structure at all. You can have an auction that ends at 1 a.m. in the morning. You can have one that ends at 6 a.m. You can have one that ends at 3 p.m. You can have one that ends on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, any day of the week. Okay, there's no structure to it. So that creates a level of variations, because if you're putting a card up, let's just say like I have this Messi card. It's a Pop 2. Okay, it's a very rare card. If I put it up, I don't know how many people are looking at the auction. Okay, I don't know how many people have a chance to bid on the auction, and all those things can affect the value of the end value. Okay, the end auction listing price, right? The amount of unorganized, unstructured bidding that goes on, okay, can really affect a price. So you have to kind of understand that, right? Like you could have 3 Jordan cards that end in the same day, but at different times. And I guarantee you they will be at different prices, because sometimes like you're at work and you can't get to the computer or the phone to bid on an auction, you miss out, right? Or sometimes at prime bidding hours, you'll have to compete with several people, and then that will drive up the price. So that level of variation has to be taken into account. You can't just take one auction, especially if you have a lot of auctions ending at different times. You have to look at all the data points and kind of average them out, okay? But just don't take the last auction that ended, because you don't know what factors went into that, which created the end price, okay? Another thing that you have to account for is if you have the same card and the listings are ending at the same time. This happens all the time with PWCC auctions, where they'll have the same card ending within seconds of each other, and that affects the price of each auction, okay? Which is another reason that comps are not super reliable because of that, okay? The third drawback of comps, eBay comps, is that really they only apply to massed transacted items. So again, I'm going to use these 2 examples here, okay? With the Jordan cards at this grade, there's probably like 3,000 pop counts. So you could get like 100 transactions, and you can get a lot of data points, which will allow you to determine the fair value of this card. Whereas a rare card like this, where there's only 2, okay, out there right now, one transaction does not determine the value of this card. If this card sold for like $5,000 3 months ago, that doesn't mean it's worth $5,000. It could be worth $10,000. The next sale could be $10,000, right? You don't know. Or the next sale could be $1,000. You don't know, because it's so rare, and it just kind of determines with those other 2 factors that I talked about of when the auction is, who's looking at it, how many people are bidding on it. That will determine what the end price is. So you have to really take it as a grain of salt. If you have a rare card that you're looking at and it has 1 comp on it, you can't use that as the fair market value of the card, because you just don't know. You don't have enough data points, okay? The other drawback of using eBay comps is that eBay is only one small piece of the data pie. There are several other ways that cards transact in our hobby. They either transact at shows, they transact on different auction sites such as Golden, Heritage Auction, REA. They transact over other websites like MySlab, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, all these things, right? But nobody tracks those other data points. There's no way you can track all those, okay? So people are only tracking off of eBay, and they're going off of eBay as the main source of determining the market value, when it's really not. And that's another thing you have to consider. That's not to say that it's not useful, but you can't say that eBay is the price determination of every card, because the card can transact in so many different ways, okay? So you have to understand that. So those are the drawbacks of using eBay comps, in terms of the auctions can be manipulated, they're not structured well, which leads to a level of variations in the end price. It only really applies to massed transacted items, and then it doesn't count for all the sales data out there of all the transactions, right? So let me just talk about some of the misconceptions of eBay based off of those drawbacks, okay? The number one misconception that people do, and I've already spoken about this, is they use eBay as like the end-all be-all value of a card, when it's not. It's clearly not. I just explained those points to you so you can kind of make that determination for yourself, but you have to understand that it's just not the final determination, okay? 2, they have to understand that the value of a card also depends on the availability of the card, right? So let's just say, for example, with this messy auto that I have here, okay? If the last transaction was for $5,000 last week, right? Whatever. That does not mean that this card is only worth $5,000. So if you see this at a show, you should expect to pay that much. If it's not available for buy it now on eBay or anywhere at a certain price, then the price is whatever the seller sets it at, all right? Now with this Jordan, if it sells for $6,000 and there's a buy it now for $6,000 in eBay, then yes, you can go to a seller and say, okay, I'm not gonna pay more than $6,000 for it, because if you charge me more, I can go on eBay and I can buy it for that price, right? So you have to understand that the availability of the cards combined with the eBay comps will determine the value of it, okay? But you have to understand that availability does play a factor into it, okay? And then the other misconception that I see people always try to do is that they always try to get lower than the last comps, like as if like this card sold for $6,000, so give me a deal. I want to pay $550 for it, $5,500 for it. You know, like a card will sell for whatever the seller's asking for it. They don't have to sell it lower than the comps. They can sell it higher, whatever they want. Just don't go into a transaction expecting to get lower than the comps, okay? Because everything's up to negotiations. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone over the drawbacks we've gone over what eBay comps are, the drawbacks of the comps, and the common misconceptions, let me go ahead and now explain to you guys how to properly use eBay comps, how I use them. I don't want you to think that I'm always here bashing on eBay comps or anything like that. I think that they're a valuable tool, a valuable data point, and I use them all the time. But the purpose of me making the video is basically to point out how people are misusing these comps and how it's causing friction within the hobby. Okay, so let me tell you how to properly use this and the benefits of doing that, okay? Number one, again, I said this many times before, but I'll say it again. eBay comps are not the end-all be-all price determination of a card, all right? I'll use the Jordan as an example again. If the card sells for $6,000 on eBay, that does not mean that you have to sell it for $6,000. Okay, it can be sold at any price. This is the secondary market. A seller has the right to sell this at any price they want. A buyer has the price to pay whatever price they want. Okay, it's all up to negotiations. Okay, eBay comps are used as one data point. It's not a fixed price. All right, number one. Number two, again, use eBay comps as one data point only. Factor in or combined with other data points. So you can go off of what happened on eBay. You can go off of what happened on like Golden Auction. Okay, maybe a Facebook Marketplace. You know, maybe a transaction at a show. Combine all that together to make a determination of what you think a fair market value price is. Okay, don't just go off of eBay. Third point, if there are not a lot of comps that give you a fair market value, like let's just say there's only one comp over the course of 3-4 months, then again, don't use that as the end-all be-all price, but use that as a basis for negotiation, a starting point. Okay, you know the last one 3 months ago sold for X amount of dollars, so you can use that as a starting point in your negotiations. Okay, but again, it's not the end-all be-all number. And then lastly, you have to combine the last sold comp with the current availability of a card. This is very important, guys. Okay, if you take anything away from this video, understand this point. Use Jordan as an example again. If Jordan last sold for $6,000, okay, and there's no other Jordans available at that price, then the price can be higher than $6,000. All right. If the rarity or the availability of a card is low, then you got to pay up for it. All right. That's how it is. Same thing on the flip side though. If the card is readily available and you're a seller, don't expect to sell it over whatever the available price is. You know, if there's another Jordan available for $6,000, don't expect to sell it for $10,000. Nobody's going to pay that price, okay? Because you have competition. But you have to understand that from a buyer's point of view, okay? If the card is not available at the price you want, but you really want it, then you need to pay up. From the seller's point of view, if the card is readily available at a lower price than what you're trying to get for it, then you need to compete if you want to sell it. Otherwise, you're going to end up holding it, okay? And this is where most of the friction is, okay? Most of the friction comes from this, where people say, well, this is what it last sold for, okay? Well, if you can't buy it for that price, then you're not going to get it, all right? Same thing if you're a seller. Well, this is the price I want. This is my price. Well, you could buy it cheaper somewhere else. They're going to take their business there. Okay, understand that, then you won't have that friction when you're trying to negotiate. Okay, so those are the ways that I would kind of use eBay comps. I can almost promise you guys this: if you go into a negotiation, if you go into a transaction, understanding these points that I'm trying to make in this video, and you use these tactics that I'm trying to explain to you, you will have a more positive experience when you're negotiating. Okay, the problem I see right now is people come in and say, "This is the comp. I want to pay this." The seller, if he can't if he can't sell it for that price because his cost basis is too high, which is in another discussion video that I made, understanding the cost basis, then you guys are just going to hit an impasse. You're going to hit a roadblock, and you're not going to make any deal. But if you can understand how to properly factor in the comps, how to use that, and then you can have a more positive discussion in your negotiations, and I think it will go well, and that will help you guys close deals. Okay, so that's pretty much all for my rant today. That's it. Hopefully you guys found this useful. Please comment, let the comments flow in. I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me. Maybe some people do, but maybe a lot of you don't. Feel free to leave comments. Please make it positive though, keep it clean. Let's have this discussion. The purpose of this video is not for me to tell you guys how things are. The purpose of this video is to have an open discussion, which will help us as a community, help us grow as a hobby, to have a better understanding about how to use eBay and eBay comps. Okay, so hopefully you guys like this. If you did find this video useful, please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this with everybody. Help me grow my channel. That will encourage me to make more videos like this. If you're on Instagram, connect with me on Instagram at The Great Curator. Feel free to DM me. I love chatting with people. I love connecting with people, so you can find me there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I'll see you in the next video.